Before I talk about anything, take a look at this. I asked Gemini 3 to build a complete quarterly review using Tesla's Q3 2025 performance data. And in under 20 seconds, this happened. And this isn't a template. This is real data that's pulled in from all the uploads that I put into Gemini 3, formatted into an executive-ready deck. And this is just one of 8 use cases today that prove Gemini 3 isn't just another AI model. It's a full business operations engine. So let's break down the most practical revenue-impacting ways to use Gemini 3 right now. Gemini 3 is Google's most advanced reasoning model ever. And what makes it different isn't just intelligence, it's integration. It lives inside the tools businesses already use: slides, docs, maps, YouTube, and even AI Studio. That means the workflows that you're about to see are not just prototypes, they're deployable today. What I'm going to show you are 8 use cases that directly impact operations, hiring, sales, analytics, and even content, the core drivers of modern businesses. So let's start with the most universally painful workflow in corporate life: presentations. Most teams spend 3 to 5 hours building a single presentation. There's formatting, summarizing, rewriting. The list is endless. Gemini 3 completely eliminates that. And here's the prompt I used. You are a senior strategy and executive presentation designer with experience creating board level decks for technology and automotive companies. So the data I've used is from Tesla, and I've given it some outputs. So like the Tesla brand, I want it to be minimalist, precise, and outcome focused. I've given it some guidelines, what worked, what didn't, where the company should double down in Q1 2026. And this is based off all the marketing and revenue data that I'm uploading inside of the PDF. Because as you know, language models do hallucinate. I've told it to not fabricate, estimate, or interpolate numbers. And if any data is missing, just ignore that and just keep the slide qualitative and explicitly label it. Talk about key wins, key failures, one strategic takeaway for leadership, and performance by channels. Give it a trend visualization, a root cause analysis based on concrete correlative recommendations, and budget shifts. And I've even given it the Tesla style guide. So primary colors, headlines, secondary colors, and so on. And for the output constraints, do not invent or smooth data, do not include speculative commentary, avoid buzzwords and hype, and maintain a calm analytical tone. And here's the output. It's generated 13 slides, and honestly, they look really good. Something like this would have taken hours, but now it takes minutes. And what I like the most is that Gemini 3 has actually listened to the prompt and used Tesla's minimalism and color palettes with the initial design. Now, as with any language model, you can chat with it and update the prompts. So if there's something missing or if you want to change something, you can go back and forth. But honestly, as a first draft, this is excellent. And as Gemini generates the slides, it's doing multiple reasoning steps simultaneously: data ingestion, narrative structuring, visual formatting, and insight extraction. And that's the part most people miss. This isn't just copy and paste. It's analysis and design in one move. And what's great about this is that since Google owns slides, you can export these into Google Slides. So now you can turn this into a PDF, or you can present this live. It's entirely up to you. For managers and teams, this collapses hours of manual work into minutes. And because you can export directly into slides, teams stay in their existing workflow. Now let's move on to something that improves your life and not just your company's. If you travel for work, this next one quietly saves you hours. The prompt I'm going to be using is: you are an urban travel photographer and visual location scout with deep knowledge of Southeast Asian cities. Your goal is to design an efficient photography-first itineraries optimized for lighting, proximity, and visual impact. I'm a solo photographer visiting Singapore for 48 hours. Design a 2-day photography-focused itinerary and create an interactive Google map with all shooting locations pinned. And I've asked for daily structure, daytime locations, evening nighttime photography, and for each location include the best time to shoot, what is visually compelling, any restrictions, security considerations, and for the output, a clear day-by-day structure, bullet point clarity, practical photographer-first advice, no filler or generic tour descriptions. And within a few minutes, Gemini automatically queries Google Maps, identifies optimal sequencing, travel times, lighting, conditions, and builds an interactive day-by-day map. This is real Google Maps data, not a hallucinated itinerary. So you can see that it's pinned all the locations, and I can share this with my friends, or I can pin it on my phone. On the left-hand side, it's actually giving me an itinerary as well for each of the days and the times, also what gear to take. And this isn't just for travel. Think field sales teams planning routes, property agents planning home tours, consultants planning multi-stop client meetings, and event planners scouting locations, all with a single instruction. Now we jump on to something that fundamentally changes how companies build and test products. In any business, building tools is extremely slow. You start with specifications, design, engineering, handoff, followed by iteration. Gemini reduces that entire loop to minutes. The prompt I'm using for this is: you are a product designer and UX prototyping expert. Your goal is to create a high-fidelity interactive prototype that demonstrates real user flows. Now remember, you can prompt any app that you want. Build an interactive, clickable mobile dashboard prototype that simulates real internal tool suitable for stakeholder review or early usability testing. I've given it some requirements, so I'm just going to use sample data for this particular example. I want tabs, menus, screen-to-screen flows, what I want for button presses, form submissions. I've also specified modified the structure and the format. So this is mobile first, optimized, and I've given it a product briefing. So, what are we building? Who is the user? The core features. Each of the features go into detail. And then what I want for the output. The priority is clarity over complexity. And the most important thing is I don't want any reasoning, right? So just build the prototype. Do not include any explanations. And within a few minutes, Gemini generates a full UI, mock data, clickable navigation, fully readable and editable code. And you can build this for any industry or category. And as with any language model, if you're not happy with any of the UI or the features, you can go back into the prompting and change it. And in the past, something like this would have taken weeks. And with Gemini 3, you can prototype the entire concept within minutes. Now let's look at the operational use case that businesses are already paying agencies for. The data is useless if people don't understand it. The dashboard tools are expensive, slow, and usually require analysts. But Gemini flips this. This next prompt is for a data visualization architect. The job is to transform structured company data into decision-grade dashboard with clarity, accuracy, and zero speculation. The input's going to be the same Tesla Q3 profit and loss, and I've given it some guidelines for what I want the dashboard to look like. I've given it instructions for chart and visual analysis, quarterly trend charts, interaction and navigation guidelines, and design requirements, and some output constraints. And after a few minutes, you get this. And it didn't just visualize data. It created insights such as total revenue, gross profit, a revenue mix, and growth. And it's all color coordinated using Tesla's own branding and color palettes. It's got a segment for gross margins, a revenue share, operating highlights, and it's even added a nice touch for year-to-date 2025 results, which I didn't ask it to do, but Gemini is intelligent enough to kind of join the dots. And none of this was explicitly prompted. This is Gemini using reasoning and domain knowledge to create a CEO-ready dashboard. And this turns a junior marketer into a full analytics team. And when a business understands its data, the next logical step is to capture more leads. One of the highest ROI assets in digital marketing is interactive calculators. Until now, building one required engineering. Not anymore. The prompt I'm using for this is you are a front-end product designer and financial UX specialist. Your goal is to create a self-contained interactive calculator component that can be embedded into an existing web page. So I've given it some user inputs, some outputs, and some examples of the results. I've also given it some lead capture guidelines, some design and interactive or interaction notes, and technical constraints. After a few minutes, it's created this retirement calculator widget. This is really cool. You could drop this on a financial advisor's website because it generates the code and you can embed it as a widget, and you can even change these values. It's got a nice little slider here, a withdrawal rate, and it gives you a total contributions, investment growth, and total portfolio value. And a nice little chart here for a portfolio growth over time projection. And a great way to capture these leads is to develop a personalized retirement plan. And for that, you capture their name and email address. And this is something you can easily automate too. And this is production ready code. Think of financial advisors, SaaS companies, real estate firms. This becomes an instant lead generator. And this is why Gemini is so disruptive. These aren't mockups. They're deployable widgets on any website. And when you add the lead capture step, this becomes a full funnel. Now let's talk about sales, the lifeblood of every business. Sales managers spend anywhere between 20 to 30% of their week reviewing calls. Gemini reduces that to under 3 minutes. So for this next use case, I'm using AI to develop a sales coaching intelligent dashboard. And for this example, I've uploaded a transcript for a call that I took earlier this morning. And so the main outputs are I want a sales coach. And it's actually given me a transcription analysis and a sentiment and engagement flow. So it understood that the friction was Meta and the solution was TikTok. What went well during the call? Where were my missed opportunities? And I can even expand on this. What can I do for the follow-up calls? Or how can I make this better for future calls that have similar requirements and specifications? And as with any app or dashboard, Gemini gives you the entire code. So you can actually deploy and host this. And the best part is that you can share this app internally and standardize sales coaching across the entire team. This is enterprise grade functionality inside a browser. And if you're an agency, you can easily sell this to other agencies. Now let's look at something that builds authority for your brand instantly. Most companies struggle to repurpose content, but Gemini can turn every YouTube video into a high quality blog post with just one instruction. So this time I'm using the following prompt. You are a technical blog writer specializing in AI, automation, and workflow systems. I've given it a writing style and referencing guide, approved hooks and opening patterns, the article structure. So how do I want this content to look and feel? How to construct titles, openings, and I've given it quality rules. The most important thing is do not begin writing the article until a video URL has been provided. And so when I run this prompt, it's now asking me to provide the YouTube URL. So I'm going to give it one of my most popular videos. And this is where it gets really interesting because Google also owns Gemini and YouTube, which means that I can pull information directly from YouTube without you leaving the platform. And unlike other AI models, Gemini pulls in the full transcript, visuals, the title, the description, chapters, context, and even the metadata. It doesn't just summarize. It rewrites the blog using your style guide. And what's cool is that it's automatically added some outbound links, such as getting started with Docker, self-hosting on N8N, and learning FFmpeg, which aren't links that I included in my video, by the way. And this is how you scale SEO and content production without hiring. And now for the final use case, and this is my personal favorite, and arguably the most strategic one for creators and businesses. Creators pay thousands for YouTube consultants. Gemini 3 performs a complete audit in minutes using real YouTube API data. So for the prompt I'm using is, you are a YouTube growth strategist and performance analyst. Your job is to produce a data grounded, actionable channel audit that helps the creator understand what to double down on. This is very important because I know as a YouTube creator that sometimes it's quite difficult to know where you should go next. And so I pasted my own YouTube channel. And remember, Google owns Gemini and YouTube, so it doesn't need to leave this platform to access that data. I've asked for an analysis framework, a content breakdown, a top performers deep dive, and to identify missed opportunities. I've also asked it for recommendations, an execution strategy, and I've given it output requirements. And when it runs, you can see that it's integrated YouTube directly inside of Gemini 3. And no other language model has this capability. Only Gemini can do this. And within a few minutes, Gemini generates retention diagnosis, volatility metrics, format analysis, a performance snapshot, content breakdowns, title and thumbnail patterns, top performers and deep dives, missed opportunities, which is a big one, and recommendations ranked by impact. It's given me an execution strategy. And if this were my channel for the next 30 days, what would it do? And everything is accurate because Gemini is pulling this data directly from YouTube's backend. This isn't guesswork, it's data-driven insights. And what I love about Gemini is that you can turn this into actionable data by clicking on the create button here. So you can create a web page, an infographic, a quiz, flashcards, and even an audio overview. Or you can describe your own app inside the prompt here. And now let's wrap up what this means for the future of work. Gemini 3 doesn't replace people, it replaces processes. The meeting prep process, the product prototyping process, the sales coaching process, the content repurposing process, and the lead capture process. And when processes disappear, companies reorganize. Teams shift from manual work to oversight, from execution to strategy, from building from scratch to refining AI-generated assets. And that's why models like Gemini 3 matter. They change the economics of running a company. And if this video opened your eyes and you want to know how AI can help you, click on the link in the description below and sign up to the private community called the Automation Kings. The link is in the description and I'll see you on the inside. And if this video opened your eyes, smash the like button, turn the notifications on, and I'll see you when the next video drops.